instability is inversely proportional to stability. So there's a drive to have instability. So there's a performance requirement. So unless there is such a performance requirement that you want to operate in certain zones where you have to, operate in instability, there is no such requirement. So right now, your trade-offs are all done on a passive basis. So you build in a lot of conservativeness in the operation to make sure you will stay safe in all kinds of extreme conditions. So the idea is here of active control technology is more of making sure that in general you can operate at higher efficiency, and then active control technologies kick in only when you need it. That's the idea.
Yeah, in land-based gas turbines you don't have this overriding need to be operating at all sorts of
operating
regimes.
conditions.
There's pretty much like two regimes, transient and steady state.
I mean, like for instance, if you look at it, there's a stall margin requirement for compressors. The stall margin requirement comes from being able to take off in crosswind. Okay, so that's the worst case situation for distortion that the inlet sees for commercial aircraft is taking off in crosswind. So you do your simulations and testing, and you say, if I carry this much of stall margin, then I will be assured that I will be able to take off in crosswinds without stalling. Now then I carry this much stall margin all through the flight, right? So I'm paying a performance penalty because this is my operating line, this is my stall line for the compressor, but I'm operating over here because I want to have this much stall margin all the time. And if there was some way by which you could operate it closer to stall margin during cruise, but the point goes to I should be able to quickly, if I go into a maneuver, I should be able to quickly readjust. And that requires higher bandwidth actuation and all, which right now means a lot of weight. So I would rather carry the penalty of versus do I add the weight in case I might need it. So those are the trade-offs. As long as we can meet our requirements through passive means,
In military flying, still the weakest link is the human operator, and if your system is, say, by a factor 10 more reliable than your pilot is, then perhaps there is a gray zone where the pilot doesn't get the reaction he wants, but perhaps he contributed 90% to the mess, and the engine contributes 10%. As said, this gray zone is not largely debated, but it is there.
In military aircraft, one area where there is, if you have an augmenter, that's one area where there's a lot of research, but is an active control for instability in the augmenter. Because that's a big issue with the military screech when you go into augmenter zone.
There's also there's two levels of reliability. To think of having the reliability to come down with the aircraft, you have to guarantee that. You always have to have the opportunity to land, and therefore you need the engine. You need the power to reach any airport. But that can be done without good performance. That's the other level. So maybe, you don't care about efficiency if you lose an engine. So you don't need to guarantee good efficiency, but you need to guarantee thrust, enough thrust to live.
You might even think of more extreme situations in military engines. A thing that needs to be discussed and partially being taken into account during design is battle damage. If you go for an engine which has a hole somewhere in the casing due to a hit, you still want the engine to perform some basic functions.
Want to contribute for as long as possible. Yes.
Gentlemen, very interesting. I think we should break in here, go for lunch. We can continue during lunch.